Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So this episode is on Shelob, Child of Ungoliant, an A-tier commander, according to my power tier rankings for Lord of the Rings. And if you haven't seen that episode yet, make sure you check that one out. Anyways, Shelob, Child of Ungoliant is a very exciting brand new commander, an 8/8 Spider Demon that costs 6 mana in total in Golgari, that has Death Touch and Ward 2. On top of that, other spiders you control also have Death Touch and Ward 2. And whenever another creature dealt damage this turn by a spider you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a food artifact with pay 2, tap, sacrifice artifact, you gain 3 life, and it loses all other card types. So there's a lot going on with this. First up, I mean, this is an absolutely monstrous commander, an 8/8 with Death Touch and Ward 2 for just 6 mana. But of course, this is a great tribal commander for spiders because now all your spiders are also incredibly deadly. Again, Death Touch, take anything out with 1 point of damage. And then Ward 2, protected essentially. Kind of like a mini hexproof. Just basically an annoyance for your opponents, and sometimes they aren't even able to actually pay that. Again, it's a pretty big taxing effect. So yeah, we're going to go wide with a lot of spiders. We're going to take our opponent's creatures out in a lot of creative ways. And when we do, well, we get control of them, kind of. We basically get a copy of them that, again, is not them. It's not a creature, but it's an artifact that we can also sacrifice for life. Sure, why not? But more importantly, again, when it comes to certain creatures, yeah, they might have some activated abilities we can take advantage of. They might have some ETBs. They might have just some unique triggers that we can really, really benefit from as well. And sometimes it's actually better to have them not be a creature because they might be harder to deal with too. So there's that aspect as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on with this brand new exciting commander. And Spider Tribal is definitely a very, very, very powerful thing. Now with this, in this episode, well, every single card in this stack outside of the commander, which is around $3, every other card is less than $1, so it's a very budget-friendly deck with an estimated cost, according to Moxfield, at $30.09. Though keep in mind that estimated cost does not include the cost of basic lands or the cost of shipping, which might vary depending upon where you live. That being said, of course, I'm going to be taking you through the tactics to show off the cards, how we're going to have this deck work, and how we are going to win with it. So let's jump into those tactics. First up, there's Wayfarer's Bauble, of course, an artifact that costs 1, pay 2 tap, sacrifice, go get a base land into play tap. So no matter what our land situation is early, we can ramp with this in as early as turn 2. Or we can ramp on turn 1 with Wild Growth, a great aura. Enchants a land, makes that land tap for an additional green mana. Now when it comes to turn 2 ramp, though, yeah, Rampant Growth is a great one. Basically the standard, go get a basic into play tapped. Edge Realm does the exact same thing if we've got 4 or fewer lands, or we can cycle it away by sacrificing a land later in the game. That can be huge. And then Steve, poor Steve, I am so sorry. You're not going to last long. Sacrifice basically to go get, that basic land, basically Rampant Growth on a body. Then we've got Cultivate. Go get 2 basics. 1 goes into play tapped. 1 goes into our hand to set up our next land drop. And then we've got Harrow. Hey, sacrifice 1 land. Go get 2 basics into play untapped. So we can utilize that mana right away. Now, a new similar card to this one is Entish Restoration, an instant for the exact same mana cost. Sacrifice a land, search your library for the 2 basic land cards with them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, instead search your library for the 3 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Yeah, that is a big difference going from 2 to 3. Basically getting 1 land for every single mana we spent, going up 2 lands in total, because again, we do sacrifice 1. Yeah, if we've got our commander out, obviously that easily meets that requirement, and other creatures will help meet it as well. Of course, we also have Search for Tomorrow. On turn 3 can be a great play. Get a basic on play untapped, or we can suspend 2 for a single green mana. Turn 1, that is an incredible play. And then finally, we've got Migration Path. We go get 2 basics into play tapped, or we can cycle it away for 2. So yeah, a great ramp package to get things going. But now let's move on to tactic number 2, Spider Swarm. We're going to fill the board with spiders and take advantage of our commanders. Well, great anthems. Again, Death Touch and Ward 2 for other spiders. This is a great Aura Curse enchant player. Whenever a non-token creature enchant player controls dies, exile it. You create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. So it's a good dichotomy, a good play off of our commander to say, well, depending on the situation that we're in, are we going to want that spider? If so, great. Just utilize it. Get more spiders out there to get even better creatures. Then we've got Twin Silk Spider. This one comes with a buddy. Yeah, we get a 1/2 reach spider that enters the battlefield and makes the exact same thing. A 1/2 spider to creature token with reach. Again, a great friend for this 1/2 bring with it. Speaking of which, we've got Brood Weaver. On the other end of things, we got a 2/4 with reach that when it dies, we get a 1/2 spider with reach. Again, the power really doesn't matter all that much for these spiders because they have Death Touch. So they are going to be incredibly effective blockers for us, and in some cases, effective attackers as well. Moving on, Penumbra Spider. We've got a 2/4 with reach, and when it dies, we get a 2/4 with reach. Also a spider. So again, we have a great amount of value we can get out of our creatures. Then we've got Rot Widow Pack. This one can be incredibly deadly. A 2/4 spider with reach that says, hey, pay 5 mana, exile a creature card from your graveyard. You get a 1/2 green spider creature with reach, and then each opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control, which again can be a massive amount. So again, this is a token generator that can also drain our opponents for quite a bit. Speaking of token generators, we got Drider, a 4/3 elf spider with reach. When deals counter to a player, we make a 2/1 black spider creature token with reach and menace. And again, since it's a spider, it's going to have Death Touch. It's harder for opponents to actually dedicate a blocker to it, so we can make an army with this if they're not dedicated to taking it out. Next up, Spider Spawning. This can be absolutely huge. A sorcery for 5 mana, create a 1/2 green spider creature with reach for each creature in your graveyard. That can be a massive amount, and also we can flash it back to do that again for 7 mana. So yeah, these can all be great ways to make creature tokens that are, of course, deadly warded spiders. Now, as good as all these cards are, it's time for us to move on to the Golden Pig of this deck, which, of course, is the number 1 card out of our 99. And the Golden Pig of this deck is Arasta of the Endless Web, a 3/5 spider that costs 4 mana in total. Reach. Whenever an opponent casts an instant sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. So our opponents, well, are going to have a tough time because they are going to be punished every single time they cast instant sorceries. We're playing against a Spellslinger deck. They're going to be in big trouble because we're going to get a ton of spiders out of this, left and right, just making an absurd amount. And again, all those spiders, again, would just normally just be 1/2s with reach, which that's okay, but now they have Death Touch, making them incredibly deadly, and again, Ward 2, so they're harder to deal with. So yeah, Arasta in this web is a massive token generator on its own, and that's why it is the Golden Pig. But next, let's move on to the next tactic. 8 legs with Chain Web Arachneer, a 1/2 spider with reach that says, well, hey, when I enter the battlefield, I'm going to deal damage equal to my power to target creature with flying and opponent controls, and we can bring it back and escape it with 3 counters on it. So basically, again, because our commander gives it Death Touch, this is just a 1-mana way to take out any creature with flying and opponent controls. And of course, we can do it again and again and again when we keep escaping it and bringing it back. Speaking of bringing it back, we've got Llanowar, Green Widow, a 4/3 reach and trample. That only costs 3 mana. On top of that, pay 8, essentially, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It gains at this point, leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting it anywhere else. It's going to cost 1 cast for each basic land type among lands we control, so it can cost a little less for us. Moving on, Nyx Weaver. This can actually get cards into our graveyard, which can be valuable. On top of that, by paying 1 black green, we can exile and get target card from our graveyard back to our hand, so it's a great way to recur something. And again, like all our spiders essentially that we have, yeah, reach as well. Next up, Oran Reef Recluse, a 1/3 with reach that we can kick, and when we do, destroy target creature with flying. So yeah, we've got some spiders that can, again, dish out pain just in combat and also dish out pain on ETB too. Moving on, Spore Web Weaver, a 1/4 reach and hexproof from blue that says whenever it's dealt damage, you gain 1 life and make a Saproling. Now, unfortunately, again, it's not making spiders. Saprolings we'll still take, though. Moving on, Sky Fisher Spider, a 3/3 with reach. ETB, sacrifice another creature. When you do, destroy target non-land permanent. That can be huge. Again, keep in mind, we're going to be making a good amount of tokens. Yeah, maybe there's that Sapling that we just made. Let's sacrifice that, take something out. On top of that, when this dies, we may gain 1 life for each creature card in our graveyard. If we do, we exile this. So, yeah, if we need to gain some life, that can be a good option for us. Then we've got Ettercap, a 2/5 Spider Beast, because that's a thing, with Web Shot as its adventure, instant speed, destroy target creature flying, or just a 2/5 with reach. Either way, very valuable. Next up, Gross. Silk Lash Spider, a 2/7 reach that has pay X green. It's going to deal X damage to each creature with flying. This is a very, very cheap, very, very repeatable board wipe against all flyers. If your opponent has an Inner Dragon deck, they are in big trouble. Just basically pay 3 mana in total to ping each creature with flyer for 1 damage, and they're all taken out because, again, this has Death Touch thanks to your commander. So in a similar way, well, we've got Spitting Spider, a 3/5 spider that has reach, and sacrifice a land. It's going to deal 1 damage to each creature with flying. Again, you just need 1 point of damage to take out all those creatures thanks to that Death Touch. Then next up, we've got Stinger Fling Spider, a 2/5 spider with reach. ETBs, destroy target creature with flying. So yeah, flyers aren't going to last too long against us. And Watcher in the Web is a 2/5 with reach. Can block additional 7 creatures each combat. So yeah, it's going to be tough for your opponents to get through when this can take out a lot of things thanks to that Death Touch, especially if you've got ways to pump it. Next up, we've got Sweet Gum Recluse. Speaking of pumping, a 0/3 with Flash and Cascade and Reach. ETBs put 3/+1 counters on each of any number of target creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. So yeah, this can make some creatures much larger. And then finally, we've got Hatchery Spider, a 5/7 with Reach. When we cast, you reveal the top X cards of your library, X number of creature cards in your graveyard. Put a green permanent card with convert mana cost X less from on them on the battlefield. The rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. This can be a great way just for additional value off the top of our library for free. But now let's move on to tactic number 5, technically speaking, because technically speaking, Masked Vandal, although it doesn't look like it, is a spider, a 1/3 shapeshifter with Changeling, so it's every single creature type for just 2 mana. So yeah, that does include spider. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment opponent controls. Yeah, just another creature that says, you know what, on top of just being a deadly spider with Death Touch and Ward 2, now I also just get to get rid of things that I don't like. Next up, Bloodline Pretender, another Changeling, a 2/2 for 3 mana. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Spider. Whenever the creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, you get a counter on this. So this can be a massive spider, even being more massive than your gigantic commander. And then finally, we've got Grave Shifter, another great Changeling, 2/2 for 4 mana. Enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Again, we've got some key creatures in this deck, and we're going to want to get them back when they're actually dealt with. So yeah, utilize this ZTB, and then also, yeah, utilize it just as a great spider. Death Touch, Ward 2, what's not to love? But now let's move on to tactic number 6. Stick around, and we're going to talk about some ways to protect our army, and what better way than Golgari Charm. An instant for just 2 mana. Choose one. All creatures get -1/-1 till end of turn, or restore target enchantment, or regenerate each creature you control. So this has a lot of great options, and again, another option might just be to take some things out, or yeah, save your entire army by regenerating it. Now, there are certain things that don't allow regeneration, but the vast majority of things do. So save your army for just 2 mana out of nowhere. Speaking of 2 mana, Swiftfoot Boots, a great piece of equipment. Equip creature is hexproof and haste. 1 equip cost, that is all. Yeah, you're going to want to protect your commander, and also your commander is so deadly, you're going to want to swing with it right away too. So there you go. And then we've got Guillaume Master Chef, which can utilize things in this deck in a very cool way because, well, your commander, again, makes food, essentially, when your opponent's creatures die to your spiders. And Guillaume says, you know what, I can do a lot with that food. First up, it's a 5/3 Troll Warlock for 4 mana with Trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal number of non-token creatures you add into the battlefield under control this turn. So that can be quite a lot throughout the game. On top of that, pay 1, sacrifice a food, target creature gains indestructible end of turn, tap it. That is massive. This is huge. First of all, you can utilize this on offense or defense. On top of the food that this makes, you can utilize the food that your commander is making. So sacrifice those foods, utilize them to either tap down your opponent's creatures to get through in combat. Again, your commander is a 3-shot KO just inherently, or utilize them on your own creatures, some key pieces, again, like Arasta or your commander, to protect them by giving them indestructibility. So yeah, an incredible card in a deck like this. Now, though, let's move on to tactic number 7, Caught in the Web. And, well, we are going to be utilizing our spiders against our opponents in some very fun ways, like with Bushwhack. A single mana. Choose one, search life for a basic land, put in your hand, then shovel. So early on, this can be a great play for us to set ourselves up for a land drop, or target creature control, fights target creature you don't control. So essentially, again, any of our spiders can take out any creature unless, indestructible or whatnot. But essentially, any creature, right, for a single mana, we can just lose one of our spiders to take that out. Or, again, your commander has 8 toughness. It's probably going to survive against any creature, so utilize it to basically just be a 1 mana KO spell with this. Speaking of a 1 mana KO, Viridian Longbow. The equipped creature has tapped. This creature is 1 damage target creature or player. Attach this to any of your death-touching spiders, and all of a sudden, it is tap, destroy target creature. So yeah, this can do a ton of work for you throughout the game. Next up, Prize Fight, yet another great fight spell. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control for 2 mana. On top of that, make a treasure token, so it makes up for that extra little cost with some slight, temporary ramp. Moving on, Return to Nature. Destroy target artifact or enchantment or exile target card from a graveyard. A great flexible card that can help us out in a lot of situations. Speaking of situations, Setessan Tactics. This card is very flexible and can help us out in a lot of situations. An instant for 2 mana. Basically, until end of turn, any of target creatures gets ++1 and gain. This creature fights target creature by tapping. And it's got a strive cost of just a single green. So basically, hey, you want your commander to take something out? Cool. Target it. Just tap your commander. Death Touch, take someone out by fighting. If you want more things, again, you've got more spiders in play, I'm sure. Have those spiders also be able to Death Touch, take something out. You might lose the spiders, but you're going to be taking out some bigger creatures. So yeah, you can just basically put whatever amount of mana into this that makes sense in the situation that you're in. And when it comes to situations, Beast Within can deal with pretty much anything. Destroy a target permanent, its controller gets a 3/3 Beast. Again, 3/3 Beast, not really that big of a deal, and we've got a lot of Death Touchers. And then, hey, Lure. Lure can help us take out pretty much everything. Enchant creature, all creatures able to block enchant creature, do so. So again, put it on a Death Touch creature, including your commander, and swing at an opponent that is very unlucky because you're basically going to wipe out every single one of their creatures, especially if you're staying with your commander. Then, you got 8 creatures. Well, let's take them all out with 1 point of damage each, again, thanks to that Death Touch. And we can also, keep our commander around with Roar of Challenge. All creatures able to block target creature this turn, do so. So again, another great lure effect. On top of that, if we've got a creature of power 4 or greater, which we will, the creature gains indestructible on a turn. So yeah, our commander obviously has 8 power. Make our commander indestructible, and also all creatures have to block it, swing away, wipe an opponent's board out. A great board wipe that can be very one-sided. Next up, Fate from History. Each player controls an artifact or enchantment, creates a 2/2 bear. Aw, cute. And then destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Very cute. And then, you look upon a Tarask. This one can be very flexible, help us out in a lot of situations. Choose one, prevent all combat to be dealt to you and creatures you control this turn. A great, one-sided board wipe, again, is possible with this, or just a great fog effect for us to protect ourselves. Or, hey, target creature gets +5/+5, gains indestructible on turn. All creatures opponents control, able to block that creature, have to block it this turn. So, hey, Shelob, 13/13, swing away, wipe out an entire army. Have fun. But now let's move on to tactic number 8, keep spinning, because we need to dig deep down into our deck for value and keeping our hand full. So we've got Village Rites, a great card. Sacrifice 1 creature for 1 mana, draw 2 cards. Again, we're going to have quite a bit of creature fodder. Speaking of fodder, Idol of Oblivion. Again, we're going to be making our tokens. Any of our tokens, whether it's from our commander or from our spider generators. Tap, draw a card, activate, create a token this turn. Yep, that's going to happen. Or we can make a 10 Eldrazi if we really want to by paying 8 and tapping and sacrificing this. Next up, Sign in Blood, straightforward. Target player draws 2, loses 2. Yeah, late in the game, this can be a KO on an opponent if they're very low in life, or just more likely, hey, we're going to be digging down and drawing cards. Speaking of which, Read the Bones, scry 2, draw 2, lose 2, a really good value play. And speaking of value, Greed, pay a black, pay 2 life, draw a card. A single mana to draw a card is massive. 2 life, that is a decent amount, but still, we are going to be making a lot of food, again, thanks to our commander, so we can utilize that food to gain the life back and then some. Moving on, Harmonize, just 4 mana, draw 3 cards. Very simple, very straightforward. Speaking of which, Siphon Mine, basically the exact same thing, but also detrimental to our opponents. Each opponent has to discard a card, and we're going to draw a card for each card, discard this way, so usually that is 3. And then when it comes to gaining life, we can also take advantage of that with Well of Lost Dreams. Whenever you gain life, you can pay X, where X is less than or equal to the amount of life you gain. If you do, draw X cards again. Basically, with a food token, this equals pay 2, tap, gain 3 life, pay 3, draw 3. So in 5 mana in total, gain 3 life, draw 3 cards. Yeah, sign me up for that. Speed of signing me up for something, Shamanic Revelation. Sign me up for this card being cast. Draw a card for each creature you control. Again, that can be a massive amount. On top of that, gain 4 life for each of your big creatures. And when it comes to big creatures, Doomweaver loves those as well. Soul bond it to probably your commander, and if your commander is ever dealt with, you are going to draw cards equal to its power, and actually Doomweaver as well, but that doesn't have a lot of power, but still. Again, draw 8 if your commander is taken out. That is huge. On top of that, of course, it is a spider. But let's move on to the final tactic, finish it. We're going to talk about, well, finishing the game, because Finn the Fangbearer has something to say about all this Death Touch. A 1/3 Death Touching Human Warrior for just 2 mana. Yeah, it's not a spider, but that's okay. Because whenever a creature controls Death Touch deals combination to a player, they get 2 poison counters. Essentially, you hit your opponents with 5 death touchy creatures, and your opponents are gone. That is all it takes. If you got 5 spiders, and you get through with them, your opponents are gone. And Finn, of course, can help out as well, because Finn also has death touch. So yeah, a great finisher for you. Next up, Agent of the Iron Throne. Commander creatures you own have whenever an artifact or creature you control is put graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Yeah, you, again, are going to be making a lot of artifacts to get with all those food that your commander is going to be making, and you can sacrifice those whenever you need to. On top of that, you're going to be making a good amount of spiders as well that can also get taken care of, and when they do, your opponents are going to be drained even further. Next up, Predatory Rampage. You know how, those spiders, most of them are pretty tiny, right? Most are 1/2s. That doesn't matter anymore. We're going to make them 4/5s, death touching, swinging through, and your opponents have to block every single creature. Has to block. Every single one of your opponents' unfortunate creatures are going to get taken out, and this can also just be a good way to take your opponents out with a massive alpha strike. And then, yeah, when it comes to draining your opponents, Marionette Master. Yeah, this can go quite quickly. A 1/3, but let's be honest, Fabricate 3, we're going to get 3 counters on this to make it have 4 power. Whenever an artifact you control is put in a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. That is going to be 4 life per artifact that hits the graveyard, and yes, food tokens technically hit the graveyard. So whenever we sacrifice those, we are draining an opponent for 4. And we also gain our 3 life. And speaking of gaining life, yeah, hey, Defiant Bloodlord, do you like that? Oh yeah, I do. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Basically, sacrifice a food, gain life, drain an opponent for 3. Lightning Bolt food. Who knew, essentially? So have fun with that. And of course, yeah, our commander, again, like I mentioned earlier, is just, you know, a 3-shot KO. So if you need to take your opponents out with that, you can. And with that, today's episode is coming to a close. So let me know what your thoughts are on it in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.